The Duelist Cup for March 2023 is here, and we have started a brand new account where we made the Dark Magician deck. However, for this event, we opted to spend 17,000 of our bank gems and make a top tier Rikka deck. We're going to break this down in just a moment, but check the description for timestamps of these 5 wins that we've played in the Duelist Cup. These are our first 5 matches. We won all 5, so we're 100% win rate, right? I can put that in the title or the thumbnail. That's not clickbait, I hope. But let's go right into it here. 2 Sunseed, Genius, Loci, or Loki. You don't want to run 3 because I think 3 could potentially be a little bit more bricky. You technically don't want to draw this. You want to use Unexpected Die. This is what you actually want to draw in the start, because when you have nothing on the field, no monsters that is, you use Unexpected Die, you bring this out from the deck. That way you don't waste your normal summon. Petal, this is what you want to use your normal summon on usually. Petal is top tier. You summon it, you search for any Rikka monster from your deck. When you get this in your graveyard, so again, with the Rikka cards, you tribute off different plant monsters. You can tribute off the Petal, it goes to your graveyard during your opponent's end phase. While this card's in the graveyard and you control no monsters or just plant monsters, it's coming back to the field. And then you can use the ability at the start of your turn, main phase 1, search for another Rikka card. Very, very powerful stuff. We got our traditional Maxis and Ash Blossoms. Not going to explain that, but these are just staple cards. This is what we actually spent our ultra rare points on crafting. We've got 1 Sunseed Twin, so this plays into the combo with the Loci. Basically, with just having 1 Loci on field, you're able to get 4 monsters on board. From Loci, you're going to be able to go into Dryas, which is going to search for the Sunvine Sowing, which is going to bring out the Seed, which is going to bring back the Loci from the graveyard, and you take damage when you use Seed. You see here, take 1,000 damage. That's going to trigger Dryas' second ability to gain back that damage, and then special summon a Sunvine monster from the extra deck. So from just 1 Link Summon Loci, if nothing gets negated, you actually end the board with 4 monsters on field, which obviously you're not just going to end there, you're going to continue extending. But that's the power of Rikka. You can start 0 Rikka cards and end on a full Rikka board just by using the Dryas combo here. But the other good thing about it is if you do have a Rikka card in hand and you're going for the Dryas play, that Dryas will likely eat up your opponent's negates. So if they have hand traps or things like that, you can usually bait them out with the Dryas plays because your opponent doesn't want you to extend, if they know anything, into those 4 monsters, because from there it's just, you know, you got the gas going, you're just going off. So it's good to eat up negates. That way your Rikka combo doesn't get interrupted and you're good to go full force. So in addition to that, we're playing 2 Primula. This is a very powerful card. I think 2 is the way to go. I don't think you want to play 1. The reason you play 2 is because anytime a monster on your side of the field, so you can't use Con to tribute your opponent's monsters. It has to be a monster on your side of the field. Is tributed. You can special summon this card from your hand for free. And the nice thing is, if you activate Glamour, which tributes a monster, so again, if you turn 1, you're going first, your opponent has nothing on their field, you activate Glamour, tribute one of your monsters. If you search for the Primula, by the time the Glamour resolves, the Primula's in your hand, and the condition of sacking a monster, which you did at the start to activate Rikka Glamour before Primula was in your hand, will be still fulfilled. So that means as soon as Glamour resolves, you can special summon the Primula without having to tribute another monster. So it's very good for that. You instantly search for Primula and another level 4 with the Glamour. That's an instant Strenna. So again, go to those matches linked in the description below. Check the timestamps if you want to see how these combos play out. But Princess is also probably actually the best card in the deck, because not only is this just a free special summon without any restrictions or conditions, it's also an amazing monster negate, because when it's in the graveyard, you can return it to the deck and tribute a monster on the field, or like one of your monsters, or if you have Con up, you can tribute one of your opponent's monsters, and then negate that monster's effect. What's nice about this, if you read this card, it says, yeah, it's a quick effect. Shuffle this card from your hand or graveyard into the deck and tribute 1 plant monster. Again, if you have Con up, you can tribute your opponent's monster. This semicolon here means that this is a cost. So the nice thing is, if your opponent has a Call by the Grave, they'd have to Call by the Grave before they end up deciding what they want to do with their monsters to get this into the banish pile before they activate the monster effect. They can't react Call by the Grave, negate this, because you've already paid the cost to return it to the deck. It's not in the graveyard anymore for them to call by. So a lot of people don't realize this. Like, I played a match where somebody Dark Rulered my board, but I had the Rikka Princess in the graveyard, and Rikka Princess was able to tribute the monster and negate the same monster. It tributed the monster that was activating the effect, and it negated it. So it's super strong. You can imagine your opponent brings out a boss monster, tries to trigger an effect. You save your Princess because it's not on the field. People usually don't pay attention to the graveyard. You trigger off the Princess, it returns to the deck. You sack their monster, and then you negate the effect. Super, super powerful stuff. A really strong interruption. 2 Muden, this card is your starter basically. When you summon it, you search for a Rikka spell or trap. 99% of the time, you search for a Rikka Concon if you don't have it. If you do have Concon already, you can search for the Sheet or for the Glamour. But this is why we don't play Terraforming, is because you have a lot of ways to search out the Mudan, and then the Mudan searches out the field spell. I'm opting to play 2 Snowdrop just because in the grind game, I like to have a second one available to me if I need it. And I also like to make sure I play one other plant level 8, so I'm opting for Therion Lily Borea. This is a pretty good card. It's a free special summon, target a plant in your graveyard, special summon this card, attach that plant monster to it. It's a free 2400 body, that's level 8, so it can go into the Teardrop if you need to, right? Making it with the Snowdrop here. And of course, Snowdrop is really powerful. It can make all the regular monsters level 8 so that you can Xyz summon into the High Protector or into Teardrop. But the thing to note as well is with Glamour, if you activate Glamour and tribute a monster, you will not be able to search for the level 8 if you don't play another level 8 plant monster with a different name. It will restrict you from searching for that level 8. So if you activate Rikka Glamour and you want to search for Snowdrop and you're not playing another level 8 plant with a different name, you cannot tribute a monster. You have to just activate Glamour, don't tribute a monster, then you can search for the level 8. Because when you tribute a monster, it says you have to add one plant monster with the same original level as that Rikka monster, but a different name. So be wary of that. We're playing 2 Sunvine Sowing. You can maybe make an argument to cut this to 1, but again, this is for the Sun Avalon play. The reason you can cut this to 1 is because you are technically going to search it off Dryas, but the odds that you draw both in your opening hand, which actually happened to us in one of our opening 5 games, is pretty low. But if it does happen, it does suck, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the game by any means. 2 Concon, I don't think you really need 3, unless you're really running into a lot of like spell and trap removal decks, but I don't think it's too common. So once Concon is on the field, it's usually a little hard for your opponent to out, unless they have direct spell and trap removal. Like, I know people can combo off into something that can destroy cards on the field, but usually you're interrupting your opponent enough that you can keep the Concon on the field, so I think 2 is fine. 2 Called By, this is pretty self-explanatory. It is the interruption, it's to stop Maxi, stop Ash Blossom, etc. This deck is susceptible to hand traps, this deck is susceptible to back row, as you can see here. If we're facing up against Labyrinth, we don't have anything to stop traps, right? Like, it's pretty tough to do. So that's one of the weaknesses of the deck. And this deck does suffer a little bit to board breakers because you don't put up negates. However, if your opponent is a combo deck, this is what Rikka shines. Rikka shines at shutting down combo deck. So if you go first against Spright, it can shut it down. If you go first against Branded, you can shut it down. If you go second against Branded, you can shut it down. If you go second against a board that puts up a lot of negates, you're likely going to lose. So I'm just letting you know that. But I think I played a SwordSoul with this deck, and sorry, that was with my Floowandereeze deck. But yeah, I played through their negates and was able to win that. But anyways, moving on to the final couple cards here. So I know I skipped over the spells, but Unexpected Die is pretty self-explanatory, and Rikka Glamour is your Searcher consistency card. It's pretty self-explanatory. We're opting for the going second package, air quotes. So this is the Dark Ruler No More and the Evenly Matched, both at 3. And the reason that this is important is because when you go second, like I said, if they put up a lot of negates, you don't really have a way to break it. But that's where Dark Ruler comes in. If you go second against Spright and they have the Carrot, the Red, Gin Buster, IP with Masquerena, IP Masquerena with Spright Elf, if you Dark Ruler, it shuts down their whole board, right? They might have a Smashers, that's their only interruption from there on in maybe, and then it's very easy to play through because as soon as you get your engine rolling, it's like almost impossible to stop because you're tributing off their stuff constantly. You're going to out their board without even needing to attack. And then when you do attack, you're definitely clearing out their board. And that's the power of Rikka. So having the ability to shut down their monster or their board basically with Dark Ruler is really good. If you do need to use your battle phase to use the Evenly Matched, that's no problem as well because you're going to out everything on their board except for one card. And likely it's going to be a monster that they keep. And whatever monster they keep, you're likely going to get it tributed off with the Rikka cards in the main phase 2 anyway, so you're going to clear their board off completely anyways. So the Rikka deck can be very powerful going second as well, and I'm opting for 2 Rikka Sheet just because, again, I like to have some extra resources for the grind game. Your Rikka spells are recyclable with the Strenna though, so you can technically get away with 1 Rikka Sheet. I think the standard list play 1, but I actually found playing 40 cards in this deck was a little too little. I'm usually a 40 or nothing kind of guy, but I actually needed to add extra cards because in the grind game, I think that I needed more gas or more resources to go through because you're searching stuff constantly through the Rikka deck. It's very easy for you to like use Glamour 2 or 3 times and then you're kind of running out of things to get with Glamour. So keep that in mind. I've seen lists go up to like 48 cards even. I think that's a little too much, but you definitely, I think, want to just go a little bit above 40. For the extra deck, Strenna is the card you want to make first, probably, because you will be able to recur a spell or trap. So with Rikka Con, when you activate it and you have a Rikka card, right, you just get a free spell or trap from your deck. If you end up searching Glamour and activating Glamour and then searching out the Primula and the Princess, right, you make Strenna and then you detach a material from, you detach Princess from Strenna, and then you bring back Glamour, right? So it's just instant recursion, you have follow-up for next turn. And then when Strenna, you want to keep her with one material, because when she's tributed with one material, she's actually going to be able to allow you to go into the Sacred Tree Beast, which is a free monster negate, because when this card is tributed, you can bring out one rank 5 or higher plant Xyz monster. This is what you want to bring out. When this card comes out, the Strenna will attach to it as material, which is going to give you a free monster negate. When you activate a spell or trap, you can then target another spell or trap in your graveyard and attach it to it as material, and that'll give you a spell or trap negate. So this is once per turn, both effects. But if you activate a monster effect, you can also target a monster in your graveyard and attach it for an additional monster effect as well. So this is a kind of good interruption that you can utilize with the deck as well. And it's really powerful to like use during your opponent's turn if you like tribute off the Strenna or something and bring this out. Like say you can tribute off Strenna with Sheet. If you didn't want to use Con with the Sheet to tribute off one of your opponent's monsters, maybe you want to save it for like the Princess. Or use Princess and tribute off Strenna and bring out the Hyperton and negate your opponent's monster. So there's a lot of like additional lines that you go into. What your end board isn't necessarily like your real end board, because you have a lot of follow-up plays with things in your graveyard, things in your hand, etc. So that's the power of the Rikka deck itself. One, High Protector. So this card is really good because it's kind of like a mini Ryza to a certain extent. Basically what happens is once per turn you declare a card name, so a screen will pop up on Master Duel and say, you know, what card you want to guess is on top of your deck, and you just type in something that you know is not in your deck. You type like Blue Eyes White Dragon, it sends the top card of your deck to your graveyard, then you activate the second effect, detach a material, and spin a card on the field to the top or bottom of the opponent's deck. So it helps removing back row or floodgates or something if you can get this card out. It can help solve those problems. The Teardrop Queen, this card is just basically a quick effect, tribute a monster. Like, you use it as an interruption. It's very hard for your opponent to try to play around this, and from what I've seen, but if you save this for the right time, it can shut down the opponent's whole, this one card can shut down the opponent's whole turn. Let alone the Sheet with the Con with the Princess. Like, you can see all the interruptions that you can build with this deck. I already explained the Sacred Tree, the Dryas combo with the Sunvine. Same thing for Thrasher. I haven't actually summoned this yet, but I guess you do need it. The thing that you extend onto with the Dryas, so once you have Dryas with the four monsters on board, including Dryas, you have Dryas, you have Sunvine, you have Sunseed, and you have Loci back on board. You tribute off the two Link monsters, you bring out Jasmine. Jasmine then tributes off like Loci and brings out any plant monster from your deck. No restrictions. You can bring out a level 8, you can bring out a level 6, you can bring out a level 4, you can bring out a level 1, you can bring out whatever you want. So usually you can bring out like Petal and then activate Petal, search Mudan, activate Mudan, sack Petal, special summon Mudan, activate effect, bring out Con, activate Con effect, set Glamour. Like, you can just see the extension plays, and that's all from one Loci, right? Normal summon or get it out on the field with Unexpected Die, assuming you have no Rikka cards. If you have additional Rikka cards in your hand, which you probably will, you have even more extension plays, and that is the power of Jasmine. I've actually bought the cards to build this deck in real life. The only thing I'm missing is the Jasmine. I'm actually hyped to try this out at like a locals. Anyways, haven't used Malias yet, and I haven't used the Resurgent yet, but these are also good potential secondary boss monsters. But your main focus of this deck and the main engine is definitely Rikka. I would say the Sunavalon stuff is secondary support. But let's go ahead and get into the matches now. This is actually the fourth match that I played, so I am getting better with the deck, but this is not a very good hand, mainly because we drew both of our only 2 copies of Sowing, which isn't great. So that means our Dryas isn't going to be able to get us any additional card advantage, but that's okay because we're still going to be able to go full combo with the Dryas. No interruptions on my opponent's side, so they probably have full engine in their hand. But with these effects, we're going to be able to get 4 monsters on board and then go into Jasmine, and Jasmine is going to allow us to extend into the Rikka play. And again, the Sunavalon engine is just there for me, for right now at least, to get the Rikka game started. So we don't need to search Mudan like we did in other matches because we have one in our hand. We're actually going to bring out Petal, and now Petal is going to search for Snowdrop. So what I can do now, activate Con. Not that we need it right now, but we're now going to search for, or actually we do need it right now. We're going to search for Glamour, and it looks like I'm learning. I tribute off the Loci. So again, this is like free resource, right? Like look at this. And our hand was terrible to start. Look at what it turned into. Glamour is going to grab Primula and Rikka Princess. And again, from the effect of Primula, it recognizes that we attributed a monster to resolve Glamour. When Glamour resolves, the condition for Primula is met. So we special summon the Primula, inherent Rikka Princess ability to special summon for free. We do that and we make the Strenna, making sure that the Jasmine points to it. No reason to put it in attack mode. It has the same 2000 defense. Throw it in defense. Detach Princess. Do not detach Primula because you want Princess in the graveyard for that negate ability. And then the Strenna effect, again, puts a negate for you in the graveyard, really strong, and brings back Glamour to your hand. Super amazing. Now we're going to be able to activate Snowdrop effect, tributing off Petal, putting Petal in the graveyard, which is going to come back during our opponent's end phase. So again, just like free real estate, super amazing. Bring out Moodin, bring out Snowdrop. Moodin effect activate, search for Sheet, because we didn't need to search for Sheet off Con, and then activate Snowdrop's effect to make the monsters on field level 8. Bring out the boss Teardrop, right? Look at this end board. This is absolutely insane considering what we started with, right? Like it was a kind of a bricky hand. Let's actually break this down for a second. It's only going to take a second. Stay with me here. We have a free monster negate in the graveyard that we can trigger Con with to tribute the opponent's monster, right? So in the other match, you saw me tribute off a heavy metal foes and negate it. So I destroyed it and negated it with the Con. If we wanted to tribute one of our own monsters, we can tribute the Strenna to negate a monster. So Rikka Petal shuffled back, or sorry, Rikka Princess shuffled back into the deck, tribute Strenna for the cost, and negate the monster effect. Then, because we tributed Strenna, Strenna's effect activates, brings out Sacred Tree Hyperion. I'm just gonna call him Hyperion. I don't know what his actual name is. But we bring out this thing, it attaches the Strenna as material. This is now a new fresh monster negate we have on board. So again, the opponent has to be able to see these lines or know what the deck does, because right now this board, it's like, okay, you've got a Rikka Queen and a Rikka Sheet most likely that I brought to my hand and probably set. And if they're smart, they know that I have Con to use with the Sheet, right? But if they're not paying attention, they forgot about Princess. They don't know about the sacking of Strenna play going into Sacred Tree Beast. And then of course we obviously have our quick effect, tribute an opponent's monster with the Teardrop, and we have the Rikka Sheet negate an activated effect, or before they activate it, negate a monster so they can't activate their effect. And again, if we wanted to, we can tribute a monster with Sheet to take control of that monster if we didn't want to use the tributing effect of Con with Princess. A lot of interruption. And so the opponent has 6 cards. Let's see what we do. Start off with Live Twin. Okay, they bring the monster to hand. That's their normal summon. If you shut down the Live Twin normal summon, they're probably playing Spright, right? Live Twin Spright. We're going to Rikka Sheet that right away. We're going to tribute the Live Twin monster, get their normal summon off the board, and they don't get the special summon either. Set 2 back row, pass turn. They have no extension. Petal activates, end phase of the opponent's turn, comes back to field. Look at this. This is insane. Absolutely insane. So I did mention this in the deck profile. Rikka has no back row plays, so if the opponent has strong back row or floodgates and stuff, you pretty much lose with Rikka. But let's see what we can do here. I was kind of like, man, I hope he doesn't have like Torrential Tribute or something random that's gonna like just destroy me. But we're gonna just continue playing here. So with the Jasmine pointing to Strenna, we tribute Strenna and we bring out Moodin. And then because Strenna was tributed, we bring out Sacred Tree Beast. Okay, we attach the Strenna to the Sacred Tree Beast. We have another monster negate on board now, right? We're going to now activate Glamour, bring out another Snowdrop. This is why, again, I mentioned I like to play 2. So you can see I opened one. I think it's still attached to, to the Queen. But we bring Borea and Snowdrop to our hand. Okay, we are going to chain Sacred Tree Beast to get a second monster negate. Okay, and then we're going to activate Con to set another sheet. We got 2 sheets. We got 2 monster negates. Like, we've got tributing. We're going to bring out another Snowdrop. And we actually opted to, I think, not even going to Borea. Did we use, what did we use for that? Princess? Yeah, we use Princess because that makes sense, because we want to be able to detach Princess, put it in our graveyard so we have that negate factor again, right? So we're going to activate Alcy, I don't know how to say his name, High Protector's effect. We type in something like Dark Magician or something stupid. Excavate the top card that we want to send to the graveyard, which is going to trigger his second effect, detach a material, and target one card the opponent controls, spin it back into their deck, top or bottom. So we detach Princess, right? Spin the card to the top of the deck, so we know what they're going to draw. It's going to be a spell or trap. And we have Princess now in graveyard for another negate. Switch everything to attack mode. Is the opponent's final back row anything to stop us? Nah, it's GG's. People don't know how to play against Rikka. I didn't even know how to play this deck. I'm learning how to play this deck. You saw what we were able to fit our end board was, right? And we kind of broke it down off of a bricky hand. To be fair, if the opponent had some interruptions, we probably wouldn't have been able to finish as strongly as we did. But you know, we opened bricky, they may have opened no hand traps. I think that's fair, right? All right, this is the first match I played, so it's gonna have a couple of misplays in it. I'll let you know that right now. But to start things off, we are going to try to special summon the Rikka Princess for free. The opponent activates a max C, so we called by, thankfully. Now we're going to tribute that Rikka Princess and bring out Mudon, which is going to search for Concon. We're going to activate Concon and then activate Rikka Glamour, which is going to tribute the Mudon and search for a Snowdrop and the Lily Borea. So like I mentioned in the deck list video, you won't be able to search for this if you tributed a monster unless you have the second level 8 to search. So just keep that in mind. If we needed to get the Snowdrop, we just had to activate Glamour without tributing a monster. So again, keep that in mind. Now, unfortunately, because again, I misplayed, I should have just went for the rank 4 play, but I'm thinking like, I want to get Teardrop on the field. This is my first time playing the deck. So I actually have to use Borea here to get another plant on field so that I can activate Snowdrop's effect to tribute a monster that I have and bring out Snowdrop and another plant monster from my hand. So this is going to bring both the Princess and Snowdrop to the field, activate Snowdrop's effect to make them both level 8, and then Xyz off into Teardrop, activate Concon, set the sheet. So this is not the best end board, and I definitely misplayed. I could have ended with a lot more and a lot more interruptions, but we're not doing too bad. I mean, the thing is though, if the opponent has like a Lightning Storm or a Duster or something, we're going to be in rough shape. So what do we have here on this board? We've got Concon, which contribute an opponent's monster to either activate sheet or activate the Princess in the graveyard to negate a monster, right? We have one free tribute here, and we also have an effect or monster negate / take if we tribute a monster with the sheet. So the opponent reveals they're playing SwordSoul, or at least the Tenyis, and they bring out the Ashuna, and then they normal summon the Adhara, right? So once I see they use their normal summon, 3 cards left in their hand, I'm like, perfect. Let me use sheet, activate Concon. What's going to happen is I'm going to be able to tribute the tuner, get it off the field, and actually take the Ashuna, and it's going to become a plant monster. What that's going to allow me to do is, if I need to, use the Rikka Princess effect here to tribute off the opponent's monster that I took until the end of the turn. So I'll get this monster off the field as well, and then negate another monster effect with the Princess if I wanted to. Because I've already used Concon to tribute for the sheet, I can't use it again to tribute with the opponent's monster, but I do still have a Teardrop free quick effect tribute an opponent's monster that is an interruption as well. So the opponent reveals Emergence, and I'm like, okay, perfect. So they're gonna Long Young, which is gonna cost them to discard, so they discard Blackout. They bring out Long Young and get the token. You're not able to negate this with Princess because Long Young's effect to bring a token to the field isn't an effect, it's part of the summon, so you can't negate that. Like, that's why you can't like impermit and stuff. It doesn't really matter. But as soon as the summon resolves, we're going to activate the Rikka Queen, Teardrop, which is going to tribute the token, leave the opponent with nothing but a Long Young on the field. They have 1 card left in their hand, nothing they can do, they wrap it up. Okay, this is the second match we played with Rikka, so the misplays do continue, but we'll try to point them out the best we can. We're going to actually start off here with normal summon Loci into Dryas, and like I mentioned in the deck list video, or earlier in this video, that if the Dryas ends up eating the negate, it's not the end of the world, so it's actually pretty good because now we can go into the Rikka engine without worrying about it being negated. So we're going to tribute off the Dryas, get Mudon, and activate Mudon effect, get Field Spell, activate Field Spell, then special summon Princess. This was a mistake here. When I activate Glamour, I should have tributed Mudon and searched for another Princess and Primula, special summon Primula with its effect that allows it to be special summon, then Xyz off Primula and Princess into Strenna, activate Strenna to bring the Glamour back to my hand. Instead, I go for the same thing I did in the first game, so again, a misplay, going for the Snowdrop because I wanted to make Teardrop. So not the best play because our end board is pretty much the exact same as the first match. Sheet, Teardrop and Concon. But we'll see what the opponent wants to do here. So they activate Circular. We're not going to negate it with Princess yet because we'd have to negate, or we'd have to tribute our own Teardrop. So we have to let a monster hit the field for the opponent. So they do send the Sigma, which is going to be a free special summon. So again, they get Mathmech Circular on the field. There's no effect for Circular to activate until they bring another monster to the field. Then it says if a Mathmech monster is normal or special summoned to your field while you control it, then it activates to add a Mathmech spell or trap. So activating Sheet here, we could have done it before they get the Sigma back on field, but then we wouldn't really want to tribute one of their cards and they'd still end on 2 cards. So what we do here is actually let them resolve Sigma, and we're going to use Princess to negate the Circular by tributing the Sigma, which is going to get it banished. Because this is a tuner, it's going to stop them from synchroing, which I guess is a small benefit. Even though they don't normally go for that, they're going to go for Albert most likely. But it's nice to see that it's going to force the opponent to, again, go -1 for the Signet Mining, and discarding the Small World to search for an extension play. They go for the Diameter. They haven't used their normal summon yet, so they're likely going to normal summon Diameter and then Xyz off into Albert. Albert effect to detach to material. So again, if you're going to use Rikka Sheet, you have to use it before the monster activates the effect, because this card prevents the opponent from activating the effect. We've already used Concon to tribute one of the opponent's cards, so we cannot tribute one of the opponent's cards with Sheet. So if we activate Sheet, unless we want to tribute our own Rikka Queen, we're just going to be able to prevent an activation. And again, the Albert, because it was summoned with Diameter, has the additional effect of during the turn that Albert was special summoned, they just quick effect Omni negate anything, right? And I think that's optional. So we're in a little bit of a rough spot here. We're actually going to try to force the opponent to use their negate with the Sheet so that I can tribute it with the Queen. And that's exactly what they do. So they're going to use their Omni negate Sheet, and then the Rikka Queen is going to be able to resolve now and tribute off the Albert and get it off the field. They actually search for Equation, which is going to bring back the Albert with 1,000 extra attack, which will allow it to beat over the Rikka Queen because I put it in defense mode, which is what you're supposed to do to avoid Lightning Storm, but it's totally fine. But you can see here we're in a rough spot, right? We could draw a lot of different bricks. We could draw like Max C or Ash Blossom, or Evenly Matched, but there's a lot of engine cards that we could draw as well, right? We can draw Unexpected Die, we can draw another Loci, we can draw any Rikka card because we have Concon. We can special summon them by tributing the opponent's monsters. So there's a lot that we can draw to also extend our plays. More engine than non-engine, I should say. So there's a better chance that we draw into something that we need. But again, this all could have been avoided if I just would have went for Strenna, because I would have had the follow-up play on my turn, bringing back the Glamour from the graveyard. So that was a mistake during turn 1. Regardless though, we activate Glamour tributing off the opponent's monster, so we have used Concon's effect now this turn. They're going to respond. They already had the Super Factorial in their hand, so they didn't need to search it. Bringing back the 2 level 4s and going into another Albert, which gives them another Omni negate during my turn. So we are going to resolve Glamour by searching for the rank 4s, and this is the correct play. We're not going to be able to special summon Primula with the effect because we tributed a monster on the opponent's field, not on our field, but we haven't used our normal summon yet. So we're going to be able to special summon Princess and then normal summon Primula and get the same result in going into Strenna anyways. But we need to play around this Omni negate. Thankfully, we do play Dark Ruler no more, so that's exactly what we're going to do. Activate Dark Ruler, now we're going to activate Princess. The opponent is going to attempt to negate, but they are negated from Dark Ruler. Then we do the exact thing we explained, go into Strenna, detach for Strenna, get back Glamour, I believe. Nope, we actually, okay, that makes sense. Go back into the Borea, because the Borea has enough attack to beat over Albert, and this will keep the Strenna on the field, so I don't have to crash it. So now we're going to activate Borea, special summon it to the field, and now you can just see the card advantage that we've been able to generate here. We still have a Strenna with material. We activate Concon to bring a Sheet, so during our opponent's turn we can tribute off whatever extension plays they have. And I think we have another Princess in the graveyard. Yep, so like we have Monster Negate and Tribute with Concon. We have Sheet potentially Tribute with Concon to negate an activation and take a monster. We can tribute our own Strenna, which will trigger off the ability to have Strenna special summon the Sacred Tree Beast, in which Strenna will then attach to for another monster negate. So we have a lot of powerful plays here, despite our board not looking the strongest. But this is why you want Strenna, right? Strenna is actually the card you want to end on more often than not. But the opponent draws, realizes there's nothing they can do, and they wrap it up. All right, in this next match, I think we won the coin toss. Yes, we did, and we opted to go first. So hey, my opponents want me to go first and I want to go first, I'm totally fine with that. We start off with the normal summon Rikka Petal, searching for Munin, special summon Munin, search for Concon. Yep, we know the plays by now. Activate Concon, Con effect, search for Glamour, set it, activate it, tribute the Munin, and bring the level 4s, Primula and Princess. Primula effect is going to activate because something was tributed, special summon, and then inherent special summon of Princess, bring out the Strenna. Strenna's effect, detach Princess and bring back the Glamour, set the Call by the Grave, and end the turn. Again, this is not the strongest board, but we do have some interruptions with the Rikka Princess in the graveyard, the Con field spell on field, a Called by the Grave, and a Max C for shutting down their special summon, or if they want to take the Max C challenge, they can. The opponent inherently special summons and then uses their normal summon. We are going to instantly Max C, so we end up drawing 1. They trigger the effect via the influence of Ascended Sage, an Xyz monster that is summoned with this card. You can add 1 rank up magic normal spell from their deck to their hand. And we are going to shut that down. Rikka Princess, tribute it, and negate it. The opponent just scoops. Like, the resource advantage off that alone is crazy. Even if they set up a board, we have Dark Ruler, right? If they don't OTK us, we have Dark Ruler, right? So that was one interruption. We had a Maxi, obviously, we drew into another one. And then we have the Called by. So we had enough interruptions to probably avoid getting OTK'd. And then we just Dark Ruler their board next turn. And then we have Glamour for extension, and Con to tribute whatever they have to get it off the board. The deck is crazy, right? But again, it's not invincible. It loses to back row quite heavily, and if things start getting banished. But it's a fun deck to play, and it's very creative for you to see the lines. It was really nice for that. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, guys. That's it for this video. Quantum is out. A quick one. I think this was against a Pendulum deck, but it was only 2 turns long, so I'm not going to break down too much here. I think we lost this coin toss, and the opponent also opted for us to go first. We start off perfect with the unexpected die, but the opponent had the Ash. We're going to call by that, though, and we're going to go into the full Sun Avalon play here. Let's see if I know what I'm doing. So we bring the Sunvine Sowing, and this is exactly what you want to do. You bring Twin. Twin brings back Loci from the graveyard. Chain Dryas to bring or gain back the life and bring Healer to the field from the extra deck. So you have 2 monsters on the field. Put them in the position that the Jasmine points to so that you can tribute them. Tribute one of them, bring out Munin, and basically from having no combo starter for Rikka, just with the unexpected die resolving, you can see what we were able to get, right? Through the Jasmine. Bring out Munin, search field spell activate, search Glamour activate, tribute the Loci, so keep the Munin on field. Grab Princess, grab Primula, and again, when Rikka Glamour resolves, Primula is going to recognize that the condition was fulfilled to special summon itself because the card was tributed. Then we actually activate Snowdrop to special summon both Snowdrop and Rikka Princess, so we don't special summon Rikka Princess on its own. This was probably a mistake. I probably should have just special summoned Princess on her own because there was no reason for me to put this on board other than just having a body on board. I'd rather keep this in my hand and use it to hopefully special summon another Rikka monster from my hand when I can actually go into a rank 8. So that was a mistake, I think. But we want to summon Strenna to the zone that Jasmine points to, just in case Jasmine is able to survive, which it should, unless the opponent outs it with the card effect. But with Sunvine Sowing in the graveyard, again, we can save the plant link monster from destruction by opponent's card effect or battle. So why you want to have this pointed here is because when this card is tributed with material, then you can go into a rank 5 or higher plant Xyz monster. So usually you go into the Sacred Tree Beast, like I explained in the deck list. So if you might need to do that. So this board again looks kind of weak, right? But we do have the Rikka Princess that we detach and it's in the graveyard. So my opponent starts off, look at this. My opponent starts off Dark Ruler, right? There's nothing here that there's nothing here that I can activate. Like, people don't read. This is in Platinum rank, by the way. Like, people just aren't reading. Like, there's nothing here I can activate. You just wasted your Dark Ruler, but that's fine. The reason I'm feeling confident is because I have the Maxi and I have the negate in the graveyard, right? So that's totally fine. And with the negate, right, it's an interruption because if I use Con to tribute one of their monsters, I tribute one of their monsters and negate the other one, right? And then I have Maxi, like I said, to extend. Or if I want, I can activate Princess, tribute my own Strenna, and trigger Strenna to bring out another monster negate in the Sacred Tree Beast, which is a monster negate that'll come out on their turn. So it's an additional monster negate if I wanted it, right? So there's a lot of hidden plays that aren't really fully obvious to you when you set up your Rikka board, and that's what's nice, is people don't often realize that is what Rikka can do. So look at this. My opponent, again, not knowing what Rikka does most likely, brings out the Hevel Metal Foes. He's going to activate it. We're just going to chain Rikka Princess at this point. We are going to put Rikka Princess back. We're going to activate Con, sack the Hevel Metal Foes, and negate it. Completely shut it down. Destroy and negate. It's like a Gamma from the graveyard. The opponent ends up realizing they can't do anything, and that's match. That's game over. Oh, they did the rage quit. But let's go on to the next one.